So just to let everybody know, there will be networking time after this. After the next speaker that I'm going to introduce, we're going to head over to Big Bar. I'll also, Brian and I will also remind everyone after this talk, so that we could continue to mingle and network and get to know each other and like just share all our thoughts about the different speakers that we heard from tonight. All right, so without further ado, our second speaker, I'm so excited to introduce him. He's just the best design leader ever. Here is David with his talk.
Hello everybody, thanks for having me. She was talking about being short back here. I feel like a giant. So I'm going to talk today a little about something that's really exciting to me, but I don't think it's talked about in design communities a lot, and it's how we can leverage breeding happiness in our teams to actually make better products. So when the people on your team are happy, they work harder, and their work is just better overall. And so I'm going to talk a little about that, and then I'm going to talk a little about how you can actually take that happiness that you're breeding in your teams and actually implement it and pull it through the work that you're doing, mostly with like thoughtful design. But really quick about myself. I've led the design and development of web experiences for a really long time, so not necessarily a product designer, but I really love finding a way to bring joy to the end user through the work that I do. So it's really important to me to make the person on the other end smile, which is hence the title. I really like to look at people who are using my products as humans and not users, to really just understand that they're not just some robot on the other end using my product. We all want to smile. If you go to a car lot and the person selling you the car is kind of a jerk, and then you go to another car lot and see an equal car and the person's like really kind and smiles, like there's the selling power that's breeding joy on the other side. So I really try to do that with my work. That all started from the Southern kindness I was taught when I was raised in Louisiana. I'm clearly from New York, right? The South kind of sucks. But one thing it does really good is it, from birth, teaches you the importance of kindness and treating each other well. And at an early age, I was really able to see like the impact it just doesn't have on a human, but the way they work and the way they produce things. So I knew early on that I really wanted to take that, get the hell out of the South, that I really wanted to take that wherever I went and really breathe that in each other, no matter where I went. So I decided to leave Louisiana, which was the smartest decision of my life, and then I made the dumbest decision of my life and decided to move to Chicago in the winter. Not really a smart idea, but when I got there, not only was the weather cold, but so was the management. Nobody was breeding happiness. Everyone was just kind of dull and sad, and the work really showed it. And so I got this like really insane contrast of what at home, what being nice and being kind really do to work, and then I see here like the complete opposite, like not treating your team well and not breeding happiness in your people. I really started to see how that wasn't working. So I really decided to get out of there as well. But I decided to really carry forward this idea of happiness in the workplace. So over the next few years, I went to San Francisco, met a few of you. I went to New York City. Smiles aren't as welcomed here as I thought they would be for the videos I was watching. But I really started to take on management roles where I was really able to start implementing some of these ideas, and they really worked. Unfortunately, I was working for some larger, like Omnicom agencies. Sorry, Omnicom, if you're here, where they really work people to the bone. And though my very small teams, though they were really doing great work and everyone was really happy, the big engine was just like beating everyone down still. So I decided to leave and start my own agency in 2019. Shockingly, I called it Y'all. Anyone here shocked? Okay. And then we quickly grew from like 2 to 24 people because we were just like really focused on treating people well, and the clients thought the work was fun and engaging. And so, though I kind of hated running a company, it took me away from the work, it took me away from doing what I really loved. I was really able to see this really does work. The product benefits. If you just treat people right and try to breed happiness in each other in the work we do. So about a year ago, I sold my half of the company, and I went out and first wrote a book, kind of angry at agencies being jerks. And so the book is mostly focused on that. It's really just talking about how to breed happiness in the workplace. So after I published this book, it went really well. I decided to just continue trying to get my message out, and this talk is one of those points. It's just really trying to take all those learnings that I got and really to share them with everyone. So today, that is what I'm going to do. I want to talk a little with you about a few ways, a little unorthodox ways that we can start treating the people on our teams a little better, really put them in a better place to succeed with the products they build, and then just how we can actually bring that through the products we build executionally, and how we can just bring some joy and delight to the end user. It is hot up here, probably because talking makes you hot. So the first way, it's really important to me, there's this really jacked up concept in our industry that only creative directors should present work, only the senior designer should stand in front of the client, but we're not selling presentations, we're selling great work. So how many people here are managers of any sort whatsoever? A lot of this is mostly for you, but if you're seeing this happen, like speak up. Junior talent is not going to grow if you don't give them the opportunity to present the work they build. Lesson number one for me, just implore to you all, keep an eye on that. Really try to give a voice across your team. If you want these people to build really great work, they need to grow, and they really need to have confidence in the work that they're building. And this is a really good way to do so, is to just really make sure everyone on your team has a voice. Another one that the big agencies really hated when I said out loud was supporting side hobbies. So I know Allie was talking about having a bunch of them. It's really tricky to talk to your employer about it, but in my company, we really tried to put this initiative in place, and it just changed our relationships with the people on our teams and the people around us. We asked people what they were doing and paid attention to their social. We had a few people that were trying to start a career doing pottery. So we started buying their pottery as gifts and started showing up at their events. And that person, we ended up pulling back some of their hours actually so they could do pottery more. But I swear they gave us more work than they did when we initially kind of pulled it back. So but most of all, the work just started getting better. That instead of trying to hide at work that they were surfing and looking at pottery stuff, we were giving them the time. We all do it. But there was no need for this person to do it because we were already fostering that. So they came into work energized, and it started building trust. And when your people trust you, they just kind of work harder for you. I know mental health is just like really easy to throw the term around these days. But at least in advertising, where I've spent most of my career, there's this odd thing where if somebody works 38 hours instead of 40, everyone's like, do they give a shit? Bosses are like, why weren't you here those 2 hours? But those people like come in their pajamas at hour 62 and no one says a word, no one really cares, but Michael Jordan, sleep deprived, misses layups. I promise you it happens. So I just implore each of you to like keep an eye on the amount of hours your team's working, and not in the low way. And you don't have to be a manager. If you see someone working too much, if you feel like your team's getting beat down, just raise your hand, because no one does really great work whenever they're tired. The next one, this is probably a little more for managers, but we do not have to wait until our annual reviews to speak to our employees, to talk to them, to be open with them. There's this really good Gallup poll about how only one out of every 12 employees who don't trust their manager actually feels engaged at work. And I don't have to step up here, but it's 1 out of every 2 when they do trust their manager that teams around them feel engaged at work. So though Gallup can get a little goofy with their polls, this one had like 20,000 people putting their data into it. But I think we all could probably agree, you come to work and you're not really feeling the people on your team, and you're not really trusting your employer or your leader, you're just not going to do as good of work. So regardless of what type of talent you are, if you're not happy, the work just won't be the same. It just won't happen. And lastly, I probably am the last person on earth to talk about this, right? Being weird. Wow, I thought that would be more loud. See, there it goes. There are studies around, it's called, I'll put it here because it's hard, von Restorff effect. Basically, no matter how big a list of content or how big of a list of information, if you put something really, really weird in it, that is what people remember. If you want to be memorable, if you want to cause laughs and make your team feel comfortable, just kind of be weird, think a little different. It doesn't mean you have to come in with goofy glasses or wear a pocket protector. Just don't be normal, don't be a stiff, and it'll just breed better work in your teams. So all right, we had figured out the secret sauce, or 5 secret sauces, to keeping your team happy. But let's say you have your team extraordinarily feeling good, they're coming into work, they're ready to kill it. How do we take that energy and that happiness and that vibe and really pull that through in executional ways? So the work that we do. I titled this Make Users, where are you? There you are. Strike through humans happy. But really this whole concept of just remembering that we want to smile, we find things that are clever, really unique, and there's actually a selling power to that. And so I'm going to show you a few elements of design in some of my recent projects that I've had the pleasure of partnering with some really amazing talent on. Some really unique ways to take that and bring joy and delight to the end user, to your customer. And hopefully there's something you can take of this that you can implement in your work that really helps sort of change your designs. And the first one of them is be clever. Clever is different to everybody. For me, I'm a web nerd. A site that scrolls really nice and has really awesome hover effects, really nice animations, like that's clever for me. But whatever clever design is to you, there's just a feeling. I can't explain it. I can't define it. There's just a feeling clever design gives us that makes us feel good. And so what my example here is the website we built for my book. Really try to think, when you're working on a product, about the properties of the product. So here, our hover states are just book page turns. And when a user is surfing a book site and they see the hover states be really unique page turns, there's just something nice and clever about that I really think, like the analytics show, people are just like hovering and hovering and hovering and hovering. They might not buy the book. But I'm trying to make them smile. Actually, I'm not really trying to sell a lot of books. I urge you when you're building products to not just think about, what background color could I change when I'm building this interface? Like, how can I really take the properties of what I'm working on and infuse them into my work, and the cleverness will really sell the other end. Speaking of pulling that stuff through, brand pull-through is not only beneficial to the brand, but it really puts smiles on people's faces. So this DL logo here, I'm sure you've seen that half circle plastered on everyone's face in this deck like it's a smile. So that shape, the rectangle, and this really odd triangle, through all of my branding elements, I'm really pulling those through to the hard as hell to program video player, using a piece as a scrubber, to just the pause and play buttons on the video player. Just really, just talk about taking the properties of a brand, like a book, and pulling it through. Actually, look at your logo, look at what you're working on. How can you use that to accent the interface? How can you use that to build different buttons or different unique elements in your brand? It'll really put a smile on the end user's face. This next one, man, there's a book turning pages here, and I don't think anybody can see. That's not near as fun. Actually go a step further when you're working on anything that has something tangible related. So this is a book website. So really thought to myself, all right, people have to go to a navigation and they have to change chapters. In real life, what does a person do when they have to change chapters? They turn the pages. So we have animations accenting the book as you're turning pages. So no matter what you're working on, really find a way to pull all of the properties of what you're working on into your work, and then use it to breathe life in your work. Not all animations have to have a point. Not all things have to have function to them. Sometimes it's just nice to breathe life into the other side. All right, how many people in here work in finance? All right, we have a few. So anytime you walk up to a cash register, you don't just hand someone money and they turn around and walk off. That would be kind of rude, right? This whole thing's about being nice. Most people would smile at you and thank you. So this is a little over the top. When someone hovers over the buy now button, I'm actually causing the page to smile at them. But find a way to thank your users if they are putting work into what you're asking them to do. If they watch a whole video, have a little notification, thank them. Just really think, we often think just about the user's entire experience, but we don't actually pay that off. And sometimes you can be serious with the payoff. Sometimes if you finish a form, a little green check mark's enough, but why not be goofy? Why not be fun? Why not put a smile on their face? It will lead to more product sales, I promise you. Speaking on the reward, this is probably the most favorite thing that I've ever done in my entire life on a piece of work. On my book website, I'm asking people to take time out of their day and actually listen to snippets of my book. People have shit to do. Sorry. Okay. So the book's about happiness. So it was really tricky to pull off. If anyone's used Rive before, Rive is a really cool animation tool that you can pair with some really good JavaScript and do some really wacky things with. And so here the thought was, instead of just showing someone the audio timeline, why not actually, if they're listening to it, pause the timeline to smile at them. Obviously there's a lot of smiles going on here. You don't have to do that every time. But just try to think out of the normal little with your product. If someone's literally taking time out of their day, how can you nod to them, thank you for taking time out of your day to do this. So you would not believe how many times people have emailed me since this launch just talking about this. And I really do think it actually led to book sales for me, but ultimately it seems like it really made people happy that use the product. And so that is all I have today. I really hope that whether it's the way you treat each other, whether it's people on your team, people above you, people below you, that you really try to either use some of the techniques I've mentioned or just really think about ways that you can make them more comfortable on the team, make them want to come to work and to do better work, because the work will actually be impacted by it. And if everyone here is just treating everyone perfect every day and your teams are wonderful, then maybe you can take something from the second part of this and just really think about your end customer as a human and how you can just try to enjoy the other side of the computer and really make them actually want to use your product again because it made them smile. Thank you.